Hey guys, this is Free Kong here with my first video for 10L Zoom. This is the first time I've ever made a poker video, so please give me cut me some slack. And also just in regards to poker ability, I will just start by saying that I'm definitely not the greatest player of all time. 100% not. I'm still learning theory. I am still very much a learning player. So I'm not going to be professional. Someone like Jarrett, man, this is not what it's going to be. Just in terms of a little bit about me, I'm a college student, and I did a bankroll challenge a year ago where I took $50 and I made about 2,000, and the goal is to restart that. I'm currently put in about 200. I'm at about 615. So the goal is to two table 10 Zoom until we get to about $700, $800, and then we switch to 25 NL reg tables. But basically, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing kind of a live play and explain type deal where I'm going to be two tabling, and I'm just going to be talking through my thought process. This is very much inspired by Weasel. If Weasel's watching this, props to you. You're very fucking entertaining. So yeah, I guess that being said, here we go. Jesus fucking Christ, this is so annoying. So here we're just gonna be defending. I assume that we can be three betting here sometimes, and this is probably usually gonna be a call, but because of the rake structure, we're gonna fold. And just fold this flop. But the idea is so kind of general game plan. Okay, this is not exactly a thing here, but it's whatever. General game plan is we're just gonna be a lot tighter from out of position hands. So, for example, small blind, big blind, and we're going to be a little more aggressive in position, especially with three bets, just because we're going to have such an edge playing in position. So this is just going to be a raise. I think we can flat this sometimes, if I'm not mistaken. It's like a very low frequency flat, like maybe about 30%, but it is a frequency flat. And of course, against a 4-bet, we're just going to be calling. It's pretty standard so far. Just call with the jacks. And this is unfortunately a flop that jacks will fold. And reason is because king's on the board, we have no hearts, and it's just not very good for us, right? So if we did call, I prefer to call with something like tens with a 10 of hearts. Prefer to call with something like 4-5 suited, even without heart variation. It's just that we are drawing so thin to dead against any of his king X or hearts. So this will just be a fold. On table 1, we folded fives against a raise. I'm not really playing with a small blind flatting range that much, so we're gonna be folding a lot of small pocket pairs from the small blind. Unfortunately, this guy I honestly should be tagging as more of a whaley player, only because that's who he is. Against the smaller rebet, we will be calling here with sevens, and we face one of the shittiest flops for our range and one of the best flops for his range. So this is going to be a very easy pitch. And I got to label that guy. It's my mistake. Definitely three betting his queen. In position, again, this is going to be a very high frequency 3-bet. I would imagine the solver is 3 is actually probably folding it at some frequency. I don't know what frequency, but at some. Here in position with king 9 suited, we will be raising against a whale. A little worried about raising people like this who are just going to be calling their junk and nonsense, but just because we have position, it's going to be very profitable. We'll raise here, he calls. And the funny thing is we're going to be very much so checking this board. Okay, this is very funny. So we just call our kings here, and we hope that we just see like ace king or something. Queens, which is like not really a thing to jam there. Checking turn. We'll be calling, of course, the king 9 suited. I prefer a check here. I don't really think that there's any reason for us to bet. I don't really see what we're folding, and we can bet a lot of rivers safely. So I like a check here. And of course, on the river, we're going to be checking if we can. He shouldn't really have much jack X. So if we're thinking about combos that we want to be calling with, so he's now saying he pretty much has a jack, which I think he can represent pretty decently. We can also have jacks as well that would take this line. So in terms of combos we want to have, the king of hearts is nice. just because we block like his king jack off, right, which he would be taking this line with. However, I think that I don't really like having the 9. He shouldn't really have much jack 9 suited and stuff. It's not a very helpful card. So I prefer to be calling with something like, I'm going to be folding this. I prefer to be calling with something like probably king 10 over king 9. 10. This is, again, probably low frequency. And if you guys missed out, right, the queens versus king's hand, which was not. This is too small. Not really a thing by villain. I don't think you can really jam 100 bigs there with queens. I don't know. So this will just be a fold. 7 suited, fold. We'll be raising this. Again, we're probably raising this about 10% of the time. This is going to be awkward because when we 3-bet this, which we will, we're going to have to call off versus jams. Against a jam, here is this tough. We're going to make the fold against an open jam, just with the unknown player. It's close, though. Like, I think that we probably can call that off pretty profitably, and I would be much more inclined to call off if I was in a big blind versus a small blind, because of course there's still someone left to act. Just about tags, you can pretty much see the labels. That pink is fish / short stacker. The red is going to be reggy type players. There's not many of them, or at least they don't label many of them. And then the purple is just whaley people who bluff for no reason, people who are just going all in doing really crazy shit, raise sizes that really don't make much sense. This kind of board we're going to be betting. And the reason why we're going to be betting might not be so obvious per se. So of course we're going to be betting range a lot on this board, but also we have a hand that will draw pretty well. So we're going to be checking. And also we block a lot of his calls. Here we're going to be betting turn. Reason is he's floating with a lot of his ace-x on the turn. And so I think I'd like a bet big. This is precisely what I mean. So now this is a pure check. Here we're going to put in an overbet. This is weird. 7s, yeah, I guess you can do that. Here, maybe I go bigger on the overbet, to be honest. But I'm doing this with a lot of my bluffs, a lot of my king X in general. Right, here we're going to be checking this board over to here and probably just putting in a check raise against the whale. He's going to have some 8s, and when he has 8s, it's just unfortunate. Right, but he's also going to have a lot of 5-6. He's going to have a lot of just random shit that wants to bet this board. So when he does bet, we're going to be raising pretty big. I would imagine this is okay. And when he has 8s or 4s or 2s, it's a cooler and we move on. Right? Like, I don't mind losing my stack against 8s, 4s, or 2s here. Here it's just an all-in. He has 8s, 4s, or 2s. He has 8s, 4s, or 2s. He has 9s. This is precisely what I mean. Like, that we want to be raising this flop. Because it seems a little weird. Like, you feel like you want to be calling with aces a lot. But if you have opponents who are doing this with 9s, who are doing this with draws, it just becomes very profitable. I just get it in with aces. And that's where also, like, labeling comes into play. Because, just make sure this is going. Jesus, this is not going. So this guy obviously is doing this with random shit at this point. So we can, ace-9 suited probably not strong enough. But we can now start calling with like our ace-jack, ace-queen. But back to this point, right? So if we're just calling down a lot with a hand like aces, the issue with that is that aces does need to protect in that scenario. And it might not seem like a board that aces really needs to protect, but he's going to have a lot of 5-6 suited. He's going to have a lot of drawy hands. He's going to have a lot of 8x with kickers that we just want to get it in so we don't have to deal with boards. At least that's what I think. I could be very wrong. Here we're going to be 3-betting this hand. 10-5 suited is just a 10-5, 10-6 suited. Very high frequency 3-bets. While you're spline. Okay. Let's see here. I'm like using up all my time bank here, which is not great. The pool looks not too soft, to be honest. compared to what it usually is. So, I don't know. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't really have many of these people tagged, to be honest. Jack King, gonna be a very high frequency just call. And the reason is that it's like, so, at least from what I've been observing, blind versus blind, or big blind versus cutoff, and button, it's very polar, right? So we're gonna have like a lot of strong hands. We're gonna have a lot of bluffs. So hands like King Jack, off hands like Queen 10 suited, Jack 10 suited, oftentimes just calling because we want to see a flop, but we don't really feel like getting raised and having to call out of position. Ace Jack. So for this reason, right, a hand like Ace Jack, which would be a higher frequency 4-bet, like if we were on the button here, it would be pretty much just a mandatory call here. This is weird. I feel like I could raise. I could also just call. I'm going to opt for a call here, but I think that this can also be raised. Right here, we're going to be raising sometimes. We're going to be folding most of the time. We'll be folding here. Here we're going to be continuing and likely losing money with this hand, but we're just not folding with the nut shot here. On the turn, we're going to be folding. Yeah, I mean, this is, I have a King X is what it is. So I would imagine Villain had something like 10X or something. Here we can be doing a lot of stuff. We can be betting small, we can be checking. I don't really think big bets serve very well. I'm going to be betting small on this flop with backdoors. And we're going to be checking this turn. And not necessarily because our hand wants to check, but only because this just card is very bad for our range. So we check here. And here we're going to probably go for a bluff. And the reason is that our hand performs very well as a bluff here, right? And so he's going to have some King X. He's also just going to have some Jack X that wants to bet this big. And we're repping all the 8-10. So, yep, go for a bluff, and he folds. It's also, so one of the big problems that people I think have at 10 zooms is they don't know how to river bluff, right? So like a check raise, like we're of course going to have a lot of value there. That's check raising. We're going to have sets. We're going to actually have the 8-10, right? We played probably the exact same line with 8-10. But people just don't do it with bluffs, which is unfortunate. This is going to be a weird hand because this guy is fucking not so fish. No, not even a fish. He's just a whale. We're going to have to call one, and then we're just going to be folding the turn. Likely, he's not going to check here. Wow, I'm surprised. And here's the issue, like our hand becomes such a good bluff candidate, but I don't know if we can bluff this player off of whatever the fuck he has, even king high. So I'm just going to check and give up. Well, that's not being bluffed off of. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, this is also another weird hand where I'm not sure if we're supposed to be betting or checking. I'm going to go for a check here, multi-way, but I would reckon that you can bet sometimes. So let's see, I would assume we're going to see a bet here. It's almost always a bet when it's three-way. At least one person bets, so we're definitely going to call here. Queen offsuit. 2 is not great for us. Depending on sizing, we might have to call. I don't like having the king of spades at this point. Here, he's not going to have much ace-x, so here it's just clear fold. And the reason is that we're just not getting the right price. And right, he can have some 2x here as well. Doesn't make much sense, but he can. Here is it's just such a good board for a range. So I'm going to be betting most of my hands. Use my hands like jocks or queens. Okay, king 9 off, which will be a defend, probably button. And we will 3-bet blind versus blind. Here we're going to fold. And the reason why is it just doesn't play very well multi-way. Right, I don't like squeezing here with a caller, where this guy's more incentivized to call now because there's more money in. This guy's also more incentivized to call because there's more money in, and we're just not in position, so. We fold. Here's a pretty easy fold. It's also, I feel like people don't really like factor in position that much either. Position is actually very important. Here, raise. And of course, we're just going to be calling any 3 bits. Here, I'm going to opt for the bigger sizing with 4-5 suited. Reason is that you kind of want to put money on this flop. I also want to fold out any hands that he is calling with. On the turn, we're going to be pure checking. Even with 4-5 suited, we're going to be checking. I would be checking a hand like King X, Queen X here. And now with this, we just have a very easy bluff, I feel like. Although I don't really like my blockers. Like, I want my opponent having 4-5. So I guess we're going to be checking, even with 5 high, which I don't love. But it's just not a great board for us to bluff on, and we have diamonds. So, I mean, this is like I have a queen. So that's what it is. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because we could potentially have bluffed him off of it, but it's just we have like one of the worst hands to bluff with. Like if we had a hand like 4-5 of not diamonds instead, which I don't think we would have necessarily a lot betting that size. We would definitely do something here. We're going to be betting a lot on this flop, and I don't think we need to go big, but I also think we can use a bigger sizing, raising the king jack here. So I'm going to go for a half pot sizing here. Reason is that here's going to be weird. I guess I can check. I can also bet. When I bet, I probably want to be doing a 1/3 sizing just because range is very good for us here. He's going to do some weird shit sometimes, and it's just what it's going to be. And we have hands, of course, that we can call him with, but not this one. He's doing a lot of thinking here. Don't really know what he's thinking about. Not really a board you really have to think much about. And it looks like we're going to get a fold. Nice. Okay. 5-3 suited. We're probably mixing this as an open. Here it's weird. So either we do 2 things here. Either we call or we 4-bet and we get it in. So I guess I'll just call and face like literally the nut worst flop, jacks, where we just check fold the flop. Yeah, very easy check fold. And I don't know, like I don't know the frequency at which I'm 4-betting or calling. I think I can be doing both if I'm not mistaken, but what the fuck is this? And we just see like literally the worst flop for 9s possible. I mean, we do have backdoor diamonds, but it's just not. This is so not ideal for 9s, and we get aces again. Jesus, we were running hot. I'm just checking here. Of course, folds, and we're just gonna be folding any turn because it's just 9s. It's just shit. What is this? This is insane. Okay. Here, we're gonna play a little more passively when we're deeper, especially against whales. So we're just gonna fold. Big pussy over here. Oh, what is this? Okay. We're going 4-way to a flop with 10-8. So King 3, I think King 3 is mostly a fold. You can be 3-betting it sometimes. I prefer a hand maybe like King 5 as opposed to King 3. He's 7 suited, he's King suited. Both opens. Here we're going to be 4-betting this hand almost pure. Here we have bets and we also have checks. I don't mind doing either, but I think we're going to bet this board sometimes. We hate it if we get raised though, which is unfortunate if we do. And here on the turn we are going to be checking with our range. And on the river we have a pretty clear check to showdown. Because he shouldn't, so the reason why we're checking the showdown is that he shouldn't have a hand like 8s that should be folding. Ace King, which is horrifically played. I mean, the fact that you're flatting ace king there is just insane. What the fuck you doing? 4-bet me or 3-bet me? What are you doing, man? I'm off. 3-bet me. I mean, it's just a very high frequency 3-bet there. There's no flats, but it's what it is. He's just a fish. So here we're probably gonna see a raise, just because this guy's tanking. He's not. Here we actually, with this particular combo, we'll probably be doing a lot of overbetting on this flop. The reason is that we just have such a range advantage here, and we block ace king, king queen. We'd be doing this with our ace king, with our king queen, right? So we can do either, and we put him in a really weird spot if he has a hand like any hand that wants to continue or anything. So I know on like an ace king 3 board, it's like almost 100% you're overbetting with hands like that. I don't know king 3-3. I could just be again wrong, but I think that it's fine. We're suited. We're just folding. So something I also learned that was interesting to me is that 3-4 suited is just a fold everywhere. You're just folding 3-4 suited a lot. 3-5 is a lot more. Oh, geez. Okay. So this board is going to be very interesting. It's going to be a very interesting hand, I feel like, if he does call. We're going to be going always a bigger sizing, either 3/4 or 1/2. I'm going to choose a 3/4 sizing with this hand. And we, of course, hate life if we get raised. But it's what it is. And, of course, we can be mixing that with a hand like King 10, drawy hands, even a hand like 7x that has a little showdown that we can mix sometimes as a bigger bet. And the reason is we want to mix value with bluffs, right? So we remain pretty polar. So this guy Pitter Patter has absolutely fucking owned my life. Recently, I think I've lost the most big pots. I have over about 100k sample against Pitter Patter, if I'm not mistaken. Good jacks. Here we're just going to be likely 4-betting a lot. King Queen is going to be a raise a lot. Less so against this. This is going to be weird. Here we probably have some frequency. 3-bets, not high frequency, but we're going to 3-bet this one. And here against these two players, of course, just raising. I expect a call here a lot. And if we get raised, we're going to treat it as if it's a 4-bet or a 3-bet. And I'm just mixing these up. 3-bet is Queen 6 off, folding here. A lot more incentivized to 3-bet small blind than button. Reason is that we have position. So let's see, how long have I been? About 23 minutes. I'll probably go for maybe 10 more minutes or so and then cut the session. But the basic gist of it is that, or at least of 10 and L's, you just wait for your kind of really strong hands and then just get paid off when people do really dumb shit. So for example, like the hand where we had aces and our opponent had 9s. Queen 9 will be opening. 10-5 off will be probably a fold. 5 suited. This is just really. This is bullshit. Let's be sure. What is this? Okay, now we're folding. I don't like the squeeze of this hand. In position, maybe we're more incentivized, but Queen 9 suited. This is just going to be a high frequency small bet. So I don't really understand what's going on here, but we just are going to call. What's donking out here? He doesn't really have ace-x, so we can just be fine when he's bet small. That's bigger, it's a little more concerning. Okay, this is just looks like a king. And now here we're just going to be calling river, and if he has a 4, he has a 4. Yeah, I mean, his sizing we're not folding. I imagine we're chopping a lot here. Okay, or we just has ace-king and just completely wailing it off. We could have 4x there easily. I guess 4x would be raising, but we're not folding a king there, so. A really bizarrely played hand, especially with the flat out of the small blind. I mean, it's just weird. So here we're just going to be folding. Fortunately, king queen is not a call. This is a little weird. There's not really any hand that wants to be calling here. So we'll be mixing as a fish. Here we'll be raising. Again, I'm less incentivized to raise with a hand like king jack when I'm deeper, but I can't just be completely folding these hands or I'm susceptible. Here, I would likely be folding a lot here, but we're going to be 3-betting sometimes, so I think this is whatever. I'm going to make a note on him, just because it's just he's flatting out of position. Flat, small blind against 3-bet. Might be a little bit of a confusing note, but is he right against R5? Maybe a little less confusing. This is an interesting flop. Imagine we can do a lot of small betting. We can also do a lot of checking. I'm going to opt for a small bet here and then just give up, likely. Just because opponents shouldn't really have this kind of stuff in their range. Right, like we're gonna be against some tens, maybe his tens. But also that he could have like jacks, and we could have kings. Easily have kings doing this as well. So if we get raised, we're easily folding, and if not, we take it down. Precisely. That's the best case scenario that could have happened. They have some raises there. They have clubs, they have overpairs, stuff like that. Here, of course, we're going to be 3-betting. And so the interesting thing is blind versus button. I would imagine that they're going to be a lot more linear, actually, with their 4-bets. Here's just a fold. So you might even be folding ace-queen suited at some frequency. Although GTO-wise, it's never ever a fold. It's just 100% a call. So here we have another fish. What is going on? There's not usually this many limps. There's some. Queen jack just folding here. 6-7, mostly calling. We're going to be doing a small amount of 3-betting, but mostly calling. This guy has a lot of money. He's a fish. Here, we're supposed to be folding jack 7. Jacks. This is going to be a pure flat against these people. We just don't really want to put money in with jacks. This is ridiculous. I guess I'm just going to see a flop, which I don't love, but just calling this flop. Okay. That's a pretty solid turn. And if he has aces, he has aces. I prefer for us to check here and for him to bluff. Yeah. This is just what we're going to do. Yeah, this is precisely the plan. We just want to check. We don't want to fold out his weird shit that's doing that. We, of course, can put money in. I don't think Jack actually wants to. Oh, I didn't even see this. This was a mistake, but we would still be jamming there anyway, so it's fine. But yeah, that hand played itself pretty standardly, and the reason was that when he checks the turn, he never really has a hand like aces, because aces doesn't really want to be checking the turn. There's queens, very, very low frequency. These high pocket pairs don't really want to do much. And so my thought process is either he has a hand that's like slightly worse than ours, like probably like 9s, 8s, that may bet for value on the river, but also will probably call like not a huge size bet, but he's also going to have a lot more bluffs. That's why he's also just going to have flushes. And once we bunch stuff here, we're just going to flat. They could also bet for value when we check back the turn, right? And he's just going to have a lot of bluffs that we can just kind of easily call down. And this is why checking with your strong hands also has its benefits, right? So we can protect our checking range by having a hand like jacks there. Here, just the shittiest board of all time for our hand. Let's see here. So we're approaching about the 30-minute mark. I think we're actually at 30 minutes right now. So I'm gonna click sit out big blind. We might actually supposed to be blocking this one. But I don't think he's folding anyways. So we're gonna set out the big blind and we're gonna call that our first session. Here, it's kind of a short one, but I just kind of wanted to test and see what was kind of going on. It's a couple of like somewhat interesting hands, not a lot. A couple of all-ins, and I guess that's pretty much it. We made probably about $20 or so, I think, which is pretty good. So yeah, I mean, thank you for watching. This is very new for me, so I apologize, and I know I sound like I'm sure when I'm making certain decisions. Believe me, I'm not. But it really means a lot just watching, so thank you guys a lot, and I guess I'll see you in the next one.